could look at stuff and it's called transvisionary because he was a clairvoyant and all that, so he could actually not only he knew hieroglyphics, but he could also not only translate what he saw, but he also could get transmissions and put stuff back right. But before he went into the British Museum, the goddess Hemmitt came to him and said, number one, you are of the black race. And number two, do not flinch when you go in the British Museum and this stuff comes of African. Print what you know. And that's how Gerald Massey became the outcast. You see, same thing with Crawley. I got a transmission from one of the Sister Ty City. She said, you know he was black. I said, I had a little trouble with that. But then I started reading his last book he wrote, the Book of Thoth, and he talks about this obscure race I find myself trapped into, find myself among. And so, so what you'll find out here is not only because there's all kind of information coming out, but not only are these people here scheduled to do the work to make sure that this particular work is make sure this work is tell her to close the door because that distracts me. Not only are these people put forth to relay this information to us, but these people are also of our bloodline a lot of times. You see, like, let me give you an example. Now, the sister Myra Moss did something in Baltimore where she's claiming based on the mitochondrial DNA comes from the woman that Barack Obama can't be black because his mother didn't come from the African line. Well, you can't really go by that no more because he's from Ireland. And that's your Druids. And this thing is muddled now. You can't go by just because the appearance of a person anymore. There's all kind of bloodlines, and come to find out that the European part of their history for the last 500 years is to hide their African bloodline. You see, that's why the Queen and all of them are real pissed because of that whole Queen Charlotte aspect, which the Moor screwed some British woman or whatever of the royal line, and Queen Charlotte or Charlotte, North Carolina, was born black, and as a result, the British have declared war on Islam and everything. You see what I mean? Based on that. So the lines are muddled now. We live in a time, and plus we talk about the Moors being up in there for 700 years. You see what I mean? That's what they did. They spread their bloodline. I talked about that last time. So we just can't say because a person is white, you see what I'm saying, as far as the appearance, we don't know what kind of bloodlines is going on. You see. And for the simple fact now we got this information that they've been hiding bloodlines. You see, so everything, you know, everything is not just black and white. There's more gray areas than it is anything else. I want to say a couple other things as going on before we go on. This is a book. This was an exhibit a brother sent to me from, I think it was out in Seattle. A brother sent this to me. They had an exhibit of the Olmecs out in Seattle. Now I'm going to get this because I want you to get this book. I want you to get this book. I think I got a bookmark in here on the store. The exhibit is gone now, but the brother did go and he bought the book for me. I tried to, he went back another time looking for some kind of DVD. But this is why this is very important. Usually when we see the Olmecs, we only see the big heads. You don't see nothing else. And what they tell you here is that they didn't have a writing system. In 1976, I was able to get a book recently before this came out. About a couple of months ago, I found a book in a thrift store on Reader's Digest Mysteries, Ancient Mysteries. And for the first time, I saw things and artifacts on the Olmecs that wasn't just the big heads, wasn't just the heads. And then right after I got the book, this brother sent me this book from the exhibit, which gives you all different types of, and we could put this before and all, because I'll just show you all different types of artifacts. We could put these on there, all different types of artifacts of the Olmecs, you see, other than the heads. I'll pass this around after we get through. You see what I'm saying? So, be delicate to it. But what I want you to do here is it gives you all these different artifacts. But if you look real close, some of these artifacts got writings on them. They say they didn't have writings. And the reason why they can't really show you the writings is because when you see the Mayans, that's the Olmecs. It's another stolen legacy. You understand what I'm saying? When you see the Mayans, you see all of that, and you thinking it's this culture. No, what they did was, for years, the people of that region, or the scholars of that region, they just basically separated the African heads from the writings and called it Mayan. There's no such thing. See, this is a big trick. So you got a whole civilization with the pyramids and all of that, but they decide, no, we can't change this like we did Egypt. Egypt was on a continent. If we could have somehow broke off Egypt from Africa, we might have could have fronted. So what I'm trying to tell you is they literally took these people, the Olmecs, civilization, call it the Mayans, but all of the writing system, the pyramids and all this stuff, you see what I'm saying? Only thing they did is they just separated the big heads away from all of that. You understand? The Aztecs, the Incas, or whatever you want to call them, it was nothing but one culture, the Mayan culture. Now all of a sudden they're sneaking back in now and putting this stuff back, but one or two little artifacts got writings on them. So it's important that you get this book. It's called Olmecs, Colossal Masterworks of Ancient Mexico. Now you're gonna go to the D Young. D it's a small D-E Young Y-O-U-N Legion of Honor museum stores. Let me see if I can find something else. Museum stores at, this is the way you can probably get the book. Museum stores, and it's that little ad, for the internet. FAMSF.org. FAMSF. So FAMSF.org. So museum stores at FAMSF.org. So you need to call and see, can you get this particular book called the Olmecs, the Colossal Masterworks of Ancient Mexico. You want to try to get this in, because the exhibit is gone. But it's ironic because after this left, it was followed by a Moorish exhibit. You see, so we need to reclaim, just like this is another form of stolen legacy, where they told you they didn't need no writing system. They did. It was called Mayan. You understand? So they systematically separated these things out to make a new culture. To make a new culture. Another thing that the great brother C. Freeman L., the great master that passed back in 2008, always said, you see the pirates historically was none other than the Moors. Bottom line, no exceptions on any other thing. So we got to have a whole other history of the pirates, because what happened? The pirates was these renegades that lost their home. So like C. Freeman L. said, after they were ousted from Spain, they got on boats and stopped robbing and start taking stuff back. You see what I'm saying? Why is it that it had 3 pirates of the Caribbeans, actually 4, and there's a black presence in all of them? Last one, they was using voodoo. You see what I'm saying? You see. And a black presence in all of them. The point I'm trying to make here is, they know it. Why you think Johnny Depp has got dreads? You see. They're trying to tell this story that the pirates, why is it that the pirates were the Moors? You see, why Port Royal was the pirate capital in Jamaica that fell under the sea. You see what I'm saying? But yet Jamaica, to this day, is 98% inhabited by black people. So we have to go and try to understand this particular history and try to understand some things. Now I want to say this other thing, we're going to pour libation. But I want to get this out of the way right now. Now I don't want to try to spread no fear. I just want to give you fair warning so you know what you're up against and you can maneuver around it. One of our brothers that just that you know him, he's appeared with me in Black Mental Illness 1, Black Mental Illness Predator Nation, Brother TJ, and he used to come here often, you know, and TJ was one of the most astute people in just filling out your paperwork, UCC, or whatever you want to call it. He was one of the best. As a matter of fact, he was so good to white boys would call him to Vegas to do their paperwork. And that's how he made a lot of his money. So some stuff happened. He did some paperwork. Some questionable things that went down. And I'm not saying that he probably was some of the stuff was his fault. But one of the keys is, they said he got a whole lot of time recently in January, right? But either before January or right after January, he got sent up the river. He got a whole lot of time. But my point here is, the amount of time they said he got, had there been a compounded thing based on an investigation of this. Now, TJ brought me to D.C. in January of 04. And that's when me and my queen decided to hook up. I had known her since I think I met her during the Million Woman March in Philly. I had done a lecture later on that night after the Million Woman March. So I've been knowing her for a minute. But after TJ brought me to D.C., and she was from D.C., we hooked up. That night, when I went back to TJ's house after the lecture, because the next day we did the Black Mental Illness, he showed me these papers after the lecture where all of his stuff was signed off on by Colin Powell. You know, all this stuff here, diplomatic immunity and all this type of stuff, and all of this UCC stuff signed off under Colin Powell with the Moroccan Empire. Okay, so we're going to put it right in your ass. Because this brother was smart. This brother knew it. So some of you dumbass niggas walk around with your little fezzes on. Half these niggas can't read and write, so you're going to be the first motherfucker go. If they got a smart person, he was so good at what he did that white boys used to call him out from around the country to come do their paperwork. And he sent up the real, I forgot how many years they said he got, close to 40 years. Huh? What? You said 8? I got damn near 40 years. It might have been an original 8, but what happened here is this other thing. Let me tell you something. So now, let me explain what's going on here. The brother Dr. Blind, who wrote The Functionary, he was the first to say something. He said, man, everybody getting their little paperwork done. He said, I don't know. You see what I'm saying? All of a sudden now, the Muslims became masters of the paperwork. Wait a minute, hold on now. You went damn near 70 years and then now put out no academic work. The first academic work put out by you was put out with the Scattered Drift or the Sacred Drift. Peter Lamborn Wilson was a white boy. Then the other couple of books came out. But basically, for most of the 70 years, you was on a pamphlet. Circle Several Quran, these are pamphlets. So you were not an academic organization. You was a street organization of lip service. Now all of a sudden now you become an expert in this paperwork shit under the Moroccan Empire. Now let me take this somewhere. You can do your own research so you know I'm not bullshitting with this. Because when Homeboy went down, that's major stuff because he knew his stuff. Now, let me explain something here. The brother Dr. Blind was the first one to say, he said, yeah, you know, he got signed off on diplomatic immunity, Moroccan Empire. I saw all the paperwork with my own eyes. Colin Powell, signature, and all of this. He said, but I don't know. He said, you know, these people are getting this stuff and this citizenship. He said, but I don't know, man. He said, because when some shit jump off, you see what I'm saying? These are the first niggas they're going to point at as terrorists. Now, we do know that they were cited as terrorists in the spring of '09 when they arrested those boys. Was supposed to blow up the Sears Tower under the whole Moorish thing. Now, let me give you the conspiracy behind this so that you'll understand something. The November after 9/11, the Atlanta Journal and Constitution in Atlanta ran an article on the Muslim of Spain, the Moors. They put Muslim and they put Moors. You see. And they kind of routed it as an Islamic organization of Islamic Spain. You see. They didn't give any colors because the simple fact they want to lump all the Muslim world into the same pot. You see what I'm saying? I said, that's kind of interesting here. They got the World Trade Center, went off, and then the next thing you know, they ran a thing on the Moors where the Moors are only a footnote in history. They're not even recognized as even existed in most books. Most, you know what I'm saying? But all of a sudden they did this, and right after they ran this special on the Moors, you remember the first was a little white boy that was over there and they found his ass with the Taliban? And, remember him? And found him with the Taliban and all this, and then they looked at his stuff. He had first started studying out of high school, Malcolm X and different things like that. Okay. Now, the Moors say, and according to the papers that TJ had, that they are under the Moroccan Empire is a part of the nationality. Anybody Moors, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody know about this? Okay. All right. Now this is the key on what happened. First of all, there is no Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is United States Black Ops. Black operations. And remember now, one of the guys came from Sean Hannity, was on Sean Hannity's show. He was a dark-skinned brother, he was a Muslim, and they always had him on there. And every time they talk about all these enemies, he said, no, that's your homeboy. Yeah, Saddam Hussein, he said, no, that's your homeboy. You used to hang out with Saddam Hussein. Bin Laden, no, that's your homeboy. You gave him all this money to fight the Russians. So what happened was, this guy said, look, I've been a Muslim for 45 years. He said, and I started going to Muslim conferences, international Muslim conferences since 1974. And he said, never once in the history of the Muslim world I belong to for 40-something years have we ever heard of anything called an Al-Qaeda. So that's a government, or whatever you want to call it, boogeyman, that's their organization to get you caught up in some shit. All right, now follow me here. You go on the internet. There is, okay, you got your Hebrew Israelites used to be downtown, Times Square. You go down there and spit on the ground, you get arrested. But these niggas used to go down there, talk shit about white people with the Bible and all that. And maybe the white man said, no, we'll let them do it because we got to create this kind of thing so the people will know. You see, because distraction is a mother. Sometimes you think you working against them and you working for them. All right. All of a sudden, in the same place where the Hebrew Israelites used to be, It's a group of white Muslims. White Muslims, young white Muslims, call themselves Muslim Revolution. Write that down and go on the internet. Very key that you understand this, because this is a group that was started by the United States government. Muslim Revolution. And they talk junk. You know, Allah gonna kill you, kill this, and the hell with America. The great Satan America to do the same stuff that so-called Bin Laden was supposed to blow up the buildings with. You must understand, nothing goes on the TV not unless they want you to see it and direct you a certain way. They got white people. You've never seen that Kenneth Grant. They even say anything about him. They got white people they don't even put on TV. So anything that's on the TV is there for a reason. So they got these white boys called Muslim Revolution. They went as far as to threaten the South Park people. You know the TV show South Park. They threatened them because they showed the Prophet Muhammad. And they said you're not supposed to show a picture of Prophet Muhammad. So they did a cartoon showing the Prophet Muhammad in their own way. And they got threatened. They got threatened so bad until the head of the Muslim Revolution had to flee this country. White boys, started by the government. Where did they go? Where's this guy that threatened the South Park people? He's in Morocco. Because the Muslim Revolution is under the same Moroccan treaty as the so-called Noble Ali Moors. Now you done had one form of terrorism that went down with these guys trying to blow up the Sears Tower. Okay? You had another form, and they got indicted and they got sentenced in I think March of 09. You got, and so now you got another part of this white group threatening South Park, and they got to flee the country, called Muslim Revolution, and all of these people under the same treaty. You understand what I'm saying? So be sure to note to be careful about some stuff. You see, and then you have TJ goes down from some stuff that might have went down or whatever, but they gave him an enormous amount, not because of what he did, because of the Moroccan treaty. You see what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to make here is between the white group, the black brothers that got sent down, and several other people, you see, you got to be very careful of some stuff that's going on right now. And lip service and being shown ain't necessary to deal the way things are going right now. And don't align yourself up no more than 2 or more people in God's name. Because when it comes to organization, now you say what you want. Don't ask the question whether these niggas out here is criminals. They are. I don't give a damn if you Dr. York. I don't give a damn if you Nation of Islam. I don't give a damn if you Moors or whatever. Anything with an organization, and the organization might be tried and true, and it might have these ideals that's noble, but in that organization is criminals. You understand what I'm saying? And where there's criminals, you see what I'm saying, birds of a feather flock together. You see what I'm saying? Like Mama used to tell us, don't go downtown with some niggas stealing, because if they get caught, everybody going to jail. They don't sift nothing out. You see. So that's what I'm trying to say here. This is what's going on. So I just wanted to do that because this whole thing that went down with TJ. Now, a few things we're going to deal with right now. What I'm going to do is right now I'm going to spit. I'm going to spit this to the gods. We're going to call out the deities. We're going to call out the deities. One of the deities, let's see if I got this right. One of the deities that we're seeing is reaping havoc Let's see if I got her overlay right quick. I got her overlay. Okay. This is another one of the books that we put this down right quick as an exhibit. Every now and then something happens. This is a book called Black Genesis by a white boy called Robert Bouval. He wrote a book called Orion Mysteries back in 1994. And as a result, a certain thing happened. As a result of him writing Orion Mysteries, the established Egyptology order rejected his information because he was saying that the pyramids in the Giza Plateau was aligned with the three stars in Orion's belt. You see what I'm saying? In the heavens. So they gave him hell for a couple of years, and then over and over when they did Egyptology, after rejecting him, his work was so precise until at the end they ended up having to join him. Well, if you can't beat him, join him. So by that time, Robert Bouval is a little bitter because he done got beat over the head by his own white folks. So what happened here is they got this intelligentsia group. A lot of them are headed by John Anthony West. You can get his works with Magical Egypt out there that Shabazz is selling. A lot of the works is by John Anthony West. He has a whole nother intelligentsia group. And what has happened here is, whenever they're trying to establish, tell them to keep the door closed when they come in. What they're trying to establish is that the mainstream Egyptologists want to say that their work is not legitimate because they're telling the truth and adding the metaphysical thing in the magical Egypt. And Egyptology was started as something mainly to go along with established Christian science, or what they call Christian archaeology. So they in bed together. So anything contrary to stuff that might be mystical or stuff that might lead you to another level, the Egyptologists is always trying to shoot that down. So which led to another intelligentsia group to say, look, we're going to start telling the truth. So one of the guys by the name of, what's the guy? He wrote a book called Spiritual Technology of Ancient Egypt. Wachowski is his last name. Wrote a book called Spiritual Technology of Ancient Egypt. Edward Malkowski. Well, he said, when we come out this time, see, despite the white boys, it's about like what happened with Prince Hall. Whereas, they had the Boston Tea Party. You see what I'm saying? And they was throwing out the bales, the tea. Prince Hall talk about this. And the white boys threw their charter to their Masonic order over in the Boston Harbor with the tea. So they had already inducted Prince Hall in England. So as a result, the British say, okay then, when you want to act funny, and they send Prince Hall's charter over, and Prince Hall, the Black Masonic charter, is the first charter in the United States. So every time they get a little fight, one person goes black despite the other. So Edward Malkowski, when his book Spiritual Technology in Ancient Egypt, they said, oh, okay then, when you all want to say that none of this stuff is this way and all the established one, they said, okay then. We remember a couple of years ago, the Afrocentric movement had already re-blackened all this stuff with the major scholars. So when he wrote his book, Spiritual Technology of Ancient Egypt, Malkowski put in there Stolen Legacy, Sheikh Anta Diop, Gerald Massey, who they hate. He loaded them all down. You see? Even put Mark Bernal and all them in there. So sometimes they do this stuff to spite the other people. It's a family fight going on amongst white people. So the other will go, okay then, we going to do something. This is what happened with Black Genesis. He came out saying all this stuff is black, And does he have a chapter on Diop? He has a chapter on Diop. So anytime you want to beat somebody over the head, you give them Sheikh Anta Diop. Sheikh Anta Diop crossed all T's and dotted all I's. And there's no way around his scholarship. You see what I'm saying? The gig is up. See, the gig is up. That's what I remember talking to Leonard Jeffrey. He was going crazy off of civilization of barbarism. And I said, well, what about Black Man of the Nile? He said, no, that's written for black people. Because Dr. Ben didn't have no desire to prove nothing to them. He said, but this right here, civilization of barbarism, put the nail in the coffin, because this is written to disprove white folks like him and Teofilo Obenga, Sheikh Anta Diop, and then went over to the UNESCO thing in 1974 and gave them the melanin dosage thing. So when they put the Diop up in there, that means they're at war. So every now and then, no matter how rigid the rules are of them trying to hide stuff, people in their own family will come out. You see what I'm saying? Against them. All right. Let's move on. I'm going to introduce you to a goddess called Hecate. Now she's later on picked up by the Greeks, but we first find her in the Chaldean oracles in Samaria, Phoenicia. And you know, Phoenicians are nothing but your pre-dynastic Egyptians. And in 1999, they did a conference. Clemson. That thing is pointing. Oh, okay, yeah. Whatever you. Oh, you got it. He got it. Okay. Okay. In 1999, they did a conference in Cambridge, England, at the University of Cambridge, and they put out a book called The East Face of Helicon. And what this book is saying, that all of Greek mythology is Phoenician. Where's Phoenician? Carthage, later on Libya, all that's Phoenicia. But before Phoenicia was there, Phoenicia was also pre-dynastic Egyptian, which is northern Egypt. Because you know, Lower Egypt is up north, Upper Egypt is down south. Now, so we know that Greek philosophy is stolen Egyptian philosophy from the Library of Alexandria, and they made all of them take all the books and you know the whole thing, and made them take all this stuff and put it in one central library. They got out of the temples and they went in there and they stole it. Well, I got another take on that, because in the early 90s they had some conferences called the Alexandrian conferences, and they told the truth. They said that the Egyptians took 100 years, the Egyptian priests, to translate the hieroglyphics into Greek and Latin, in Aramaic and in Hebrew, to give it to the world, because they knew that hieroglyphics was going to be a dead religion, a dead language. So all that stuff you see, what you say is Greek, was actually done by the Egyptian priests, because they could see the future and they knew what this stuff was about, to make sure the stuff didn't get lost. About like the Moors had to go up in there for 700 years and teach them this stuff, so when we came out of slavery we would have education. Because imagine what would happen. Look how we was treated with the damn education. What you imagine if they didn't have nothing? So now, but Greek mythology is Phoenician. This goddess here is called the triple goddess. She's also called the goddess of three fates. The three fates mean there's three goddesses. There's actually four of them. These three goddesses have judgment over everything that's going on. So this one goddess embodies three goddesses. Her name is Hecate. We're going to start off by spitting the rum to her. Then we're going to introduce the sacred whore. 90% of there's more in the Bible of the Bible hating on the whore or the harlot than it is the devil. And why is that? You see, why is that? You see, we'll show you who the sacred whore is in a few minutes. And I'm going ahead of myself, but if you know a woman is very promiscuous, you know when she was out there and she was hoeing, you know her, and now she's conscious. And now she's conscious. Is she conscious and she used to be a hoe? Run to her. She's the most sacred shit out here. And if you was able to get a hold of some of it, you got something. Now I had that experience happen in the early 90s, and I'm going to tell you something. That's the most powerful shit on the planet. We're going to go into that now. That's why the Bible has to shut that down. We'll go into that. I'm going ahead of myself. But, going back, you got this goddess here, the goddess of three fates. Now, she's the goddess of three fates, but I want to show this. Then we're going to pour a libation to her. And we'll go back into this with her. This is the same goddess. She has a lion head, a cow head, and a goat head. She got a sword on. You can tell that she is not about she ain't about the bullshit. And I got a new book out. It's called, it's a new book out. You got to get it. I think it came out a couple of weeks ago. It's called, see if I can find this thing. It's called Eternally Bad. Goddesses with attitude. And her name is Trina Robbins. It's called Eternally Bad, Goddesses with an Attitude. So now, what this is about, this is the same goddess that appears one way that I just showed. It showed you a few minutes ago as the triple goddess that I just took off and lost that clip. Oh, here it is. As the triple goddess, this is the same goddess. Now, this is how she looks coming out of Phoenician, Chaldean, and pre-dynastic Egypt, later on into the Greek thing, Hecate. Hecate. These are two books that just came out on her. One is Hecate by Jade Saul Luna. Hecate 1, and then there's Hecate 2, Jade Saul Luna, The Awakening of the Hydra. That's the serpent. That's the Kundalini. Now let me explain what this is. Then we're gonna go into a libation. Now, this deity, amongst others, and we'll go in deep into this, is probably what you see when you see these tornadoes touch down and kill up everything. They say they've never seen anything like it. Now in West Africa, she would be Oya. You see, it's got the lion head, so in Egypt she would be Sekhmet. In India she would be Durga. What we're saying here is the badass goddess is amongst us. You see what I'm saying? And they know this stuff is happening. It's a centrifugal force of ultimate feminine energy, and we're going to get into that tonight because this has a lot to do with the third eye. Is to go deeper into releasing this aspect of this ultimate feminine energy, but we're not going to reverend into the Afrocentric glory of the beautiful mother. No, we're going to venerate the hoe, the slut. And something, if you're not taken over by religion, something that secretly every woman wanted to be, because every man wanted to be it. Right now, if you say, man, would you like to have a lot of women? Now, they might say, well, you know, historically, they might say, well, literally, practically, that would not work. But there ain't no man up in here right now that said if they had the opportunity, you see what I'm saying, they wouldn't want to be no Hugh Hefner. See what I'm saying? But what about if you're a woman and you didn't have the training to say that this was wrong? And somebody said, would you like to have a cadre of men? You might go, yeah. So you got to break all, what we're trying to do here is deprogram the mind for you to break all your training. Since you was a child, they told you, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. There's a book called Sexy Witch. Sexy Witch. Can't think of the woman's name, but write it down because you only need the thing. In the whole first chapter, they go into how men and the church shut down the women by telling them that their virtue, you see what I'm saying, is to be obedient to them and to be discreet. You see what I'm saying? Based on these virtues, that's the highest level. You see what I'm saying? And it's a whole system that's put down to put women in slavery. And it's put down to stop the most powerful and only force there is for transformation. That feminine, raw energy. I'm going ahead of myself. So we're going to spit the rum. We're going to spit the rum out to the goddess Hecate, and then we're going to go into different ones. There's one now that's being celebrated. I introduced her before in Brazil. Her name is Pombagira. I was saying Pombagira, but it's Pombagira. And here's a book that just came out called The Holy Harlots. The Holy Harlots. Let me get this right. It's called The Holy Harlots, but the name didn't come out when we did the overlay. It's called The Holy Harlots, and it says by Kelly F. Hayes. It also comes with a DVD, but it's in Spanish. This is coming out of Brazil, the Candomblé. Holy Harlots, and it says feminine sexuality and black magic in Brazil. And they worship a goddess. Now I got a picture of her too. I'm going ahead of myself, but I got a picture of her too, called Pombagira. And when we get into this stuff, when I find the picture, I will show the picture of her as this promiscuous deity. But anyway, all this stuff is coming out now because in order for you to gain true access to knowledge, you have to uncover every aspect of life that's done on this planet. So you can't just sweep stuff under the rug and take what you want. So if there's a sacred prostitute, you need to know about it. There's a book called The Sacred Prostitute. And what is this stuff about? I'm going to explain what this stuff is about, because it's going to leave the aspect of the slut, promiscuous aspect, and it's going to come into raw energy and science and formulas. You understand what I'm saying? And formulas, and how you can use them formulas. You see. And all this has to do with the pineal gland. But certain areas that's been suppressed for years, since the Judeo-Christian paradigm. So we're talking roughly maybe 2,000 years. You see what I'm saying? Maybe because the Hebrew thing, what it did do is what used to have a balance around in the ancient world of both male and female, they suppressed it took the goddess out of the equation. You see what I'm saying? And that ancient primordial mother became Lilith, the enemy. You see. So they tell you in most Hebraic scholars that they don't fear Satan, the accursor, because they know that you can't have God without Satan. These are talking about polarities. Their most feared deity is Lilith. You see. That the rabbi fears more. And here you go again, because you're talking about the feminine principle. You see. You're talking about the feminine principle. But we have to uncover all of that at a particular time. So right now, we're going to put Hecate back up. We're going to put Hecate back up. We're going to start off with her. We're going to split this one and do the libations. And then we can finally start the lecture. All right. Ashe. Hecate. Ashe. Hecate. Ashe. Because she's also the frog-head deity. Hecate in Egypt, or Heku. There's several aspects of that. Hamajira. Ashe. Neptes. Ashe. Sekhmet. Ashe. Heru. Ashe. Aset. Now Aset is some mysterious stuff about, because Aset killed Ra. That's right, poison Ra ass. There's a whole, but that's the whole thing on that too. You see. You ain't never gonna have no, see, you gonna follow the goddess, there's the beautiful side, loving, raising the children. There's also that killer. You see what I'm saying? Side also. Now, you're saying, well, if a man has sex with a woman, and he does not know how to control his ejaculation, and that woman's black hole sucks in that ejaculation, she kills him every time he has sex. That's the killer. That's the Lilith. Man only can master that goddess when he learns how to not ejaculate. Because otherwise that black hole got it. And then you look up and you 75 and your husband been gone for 25 years. You killed him. Because he didn't know how to master the ultimate power in the universe. Proceed with caution. That's right. He didn't know about going about that black hole the right way. So if you really want to get down with it and stuff like that, you see what I'm saying? That's why, the Bible and the different things after, they wanted to shut down all that stuff, they made all that in the evil. See what I'm saying? She's the giver of life, but she can also take life too. You see what I'm saying? That's right. Anytime you bust a nut, she's just killed you. You see what I'm saying? In any kind of, in a certain way. We're talking energy here. So you have to learn how to respect the energy. You see? So, Zarabanda, Alego, Oshun, Ogun, Yemina, Oyo, Abatala, Adudawa, Oshosi, Kali, Pan, Lakshmi, Urzulu, the fairy kingdom. Ashe. You want to get in? That's your ancestors. That's your ancestors. Also check on these laws. Every morning we get up, we hear this damn rooster in the middle of Atlanta, downtown Atlanta. We live in the city. We hear a rooster crowing. First we thought it was spiritual. I said maybe that's Zarabanda, one of them things. They got the rooster. Check on these laws because they might have them up here in you have to check and try to study. They might have them in Philly. They might have them in they got it in Atlanta, but they don't let you know about it. You can have in your yard so many livestock. Chickens. Guy had a rooster. He had a goat. You see what I'm saying? You can have so much livestock. Now I know some of you live in certain areas or whatever, but if you can find some dirt or whatever type, I don't know how it goes. If you so much live in a house, That Clemson Brown live in the house and stuff, so he could have some chickens, some goats. And they got these laws on the book, but that's the thing. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. They don't let you know about it. See what I'm saying? And these laws are there so whenever the shit gets sick, you know, you can go out there and wring some chicken neck and keep on rolling. So we were out there, been hearing this rooster the last couple of months, and the guy cut our yard. We said, you heard the rooster? Yeah, we hear. He said, that's Bob over on the next street he got chickens, he got goats, he got a rooster. He said, now he get ready to kill that rooster. He ain't gonna be around long, so don't worry about him waking you up. He gonna be in the pot soon. The point I'm trying to make here is, when it comes to gardening, you know about that, say you can get your garden and you can get all that. They tell you about that on TV, but they don't tell you that you can have so many chickens, so much livestock. You see? So I'm just trying to say, I don't know what the laws is up there, but do your homework and check on that, because I'm just saying anything is an option. Now you might live in an apartment, you might not, but what you can do is you can co-op with some nigga with a house, you know, and bring a few chickens over there and say, you know, hey, put a band around his foot saying, I don't eat my shit. For every 5 chickens I got, I get to let you eat 2 or whatever. I'm just trying to say. I didn't know this. I didn't know this until 2 weeks ago. Had a goat back there, and it's perfectly legal. But the thing about it, they just don't tell you. I guarantee you go out on Long Island, in them Hamptons or what have you. You see what I'm saying? It's that way. You see. Plus they use all that for that magic too. Okay. Lamb, Awas, Owas, Idols, Garabanda, El Cristo Negro, El Cristo Rey, San Simon, Los Spiritus and Tranquilos, Madre de Agua, Madre de la Luna, Mama Sholin, I say, Francisco C.H. Reyes, so La Santissima Peter Eamon, La Santissima Muete, Bass, Butchers, Ledoux, Soot, Setesh, Heru, Raheru Bahudi, Hamaku, Maya, Metatron, Metronet, Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Daniel, Uriel. We're going to give a shout out to one goddess. This goddess here, the same one, came back to the earth on March the 3rd. I got this information from Sister Marilyn here. Her name is Ariel, the Lion of God. And probably, we're going to go into her science, all of this stuff that's been happening with this weather is this one goddess which embodies several other goddesses. So what this is, it's like the grand finale of all these goddesses coming together, but they're coming together under this Ariel, the Lion of God, which if you trace it back to Egypt, it would be Sekhmet. This is Sekhmet's wrath. You see, so we're going to give a shout out to Ariel, Serket, Niece, Nebabet, Uwajet, the 3 sisters, Nut, the great mother, Devi, Vishnu, Radha, Krishna, Hanuman, Ganesha, Dana Ishu, Simbi, Agwai, Dambalawedo, Edowedo, to all gods known and unknown. 1, 2, 3, start calling out your family members. 1 is passed on. Hemmitt family, Cheryl family, Davis family, Sister Berg. Call them out. Don't act like you shame of them and stuff. If I can generate the whole, then I'm quite sure that these people are a little more milder than that. Okay. So all ancestors known and unknown. Ashe. All right. Giving a few things right now. I want to talk about this. Like I said, this is a very powerful tool. Make sure you leave here with one of these today, because this is another one that was given by a spirit world. Very powerful tool right now. It was given by a spirit world. But But for those people, I want to put my information up. For those people also that's in TV land, you can also catch me at 678-358-1055 for these stimulus packages and rare picture packages. I couldn't bring the picture packages, but I do have the purple disc, the stimulus packages. I also have the Ganesha CD that whenever you put it on, prosperity starts, because Ganesha is the opener of the way. Prosperity starts. Then I also have a Sacred Cosmic Womb CD. Now, two things happened. The brother Jeff back here sent me some cosmic sounds that was recorded from NASA. But what I didn't know, about 2 months earlier, I received this Cosmic Womb CD. And I realized, because I thought that the Cosmic Womb CD, that they was making this stuff out of synthesizers, until I heard it and I realized that the Cosmic Womb CD, they actually use the same recorded sounds of space as NASA. So now what this thing is because we got the purple disc, we got this black dot, which we're going to explain, the magic mirror, and we have the Cosmic Womb CD. But the Cosmic Womb CD is made out of actual space, how the cosmos sound out in space that NASA recorded, and they put this together as the Cosmic Womb CD. And what this thing does, it's a cosmic womb. You play the CD, and basically you can go back in and you can rebirth yourself. Let's say if you want to get rid of some old shit, you see what I'm saying? Become a new person. Well, if you go back into the cosmic womb, you can reverse yourself, you can heal yourself, and you can do a multiplicity of things with this. But the simple fact, we're talking about the origin in the beginning. So we do have this Cosmic Womb CD. So we got the Cosmic Womb CD, we got the Ganesha CD, and we also have the stimulus package with the purple energy disc, or Technion energy, and we also have this, which we're going to get into as the magical mirror. Now, the brother already felt the power when he stood in front of it. That's the first. You saw that happen yourself. And what this thing can do, this is going to train your third eye. Now, when looking in your third eye, don't look for a Hollywood version of these visions. A lot of times, your third eye is open and it's going to come as transmissions and thoughts. And then the visions will come. But I do believe with this one here, if you get this, you're going to see the actual visions in this black dot, or this magic mirror. It's in a matter of weeks. And don't mess around and go get it laminated. You see what I'm saying? But right now you don't have to. But just take this and stuff, because the spirit world sent it. The spirit world sent it. And at the time, when the spirit world was sending it, brother called from Chicago, talking about a magic mirror. A couple of people called from all over saying, there's a magic mirror. This magic is called scrying, and all, about the magic mirror and stuff like that. So so the New Age people, you can buy a magic mirror, it might cost you $70. You see what I'm saying? But the thing about the magic mirror here is, it didn't have the power as this one, because this one is fashioned after the third eye. So let's get into some of the science right now. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
We're going to take a break soon. Well, let's get into some of the science right now on a couple of things leading up to this third eye, because that's what we're here to deal with today. We also have the third eye ritual, which if you get the magic mirror, you also get the third eye. They also coming down with that too, the third eye ritual. Some of you got it the last time. Y'all all right?
No.
Yeah.
All right.